Hello ladies and gents, Berserker, the Keanu Reeves comic with Keanu Reeves in it as an immortal is now going to basically be a movie on Netflix. To be expected, wasn't it? Let's be honest. So just as a bit of background, for those that weren't aware, like I've done some videos on this. Berserker is a brutally epic saga about an immortal warrior's 80,000-year fight through the ages. The man, known only as B, is half mortal and half god, cursed and compelled to violence, even at the sacrifice of his sanity. But after wandering the earth for centuries, B may have finally found a refuge, working for the US government to fight the battles too violent and too dangerous for anyone else. In exchange, B will be granted the one thing he desires, the truth about his endless blood-soaked existence and how to end it. It's quite a cool idea. Taps into what, it taps into, I don't know, it's a hyper-reality. It's, yeah, this is cool, it's violent, it's fantasy, it's this, it's that. Like, loads of people love that sort of stuff. And it became massively successful over on Kickstarter, much to the sort of malent of other people. Loads of people hated it. They weren't very impressed with it. They were like, oh, well, if Boom Comics can just go on Kickstarter, then where does that stand for anyone else? It's like, they use Kickstarter as a pre-sale. And why you butthurt about it? It didn't really make any sense. I was always confused by the amount of people that got really upset by it. But now it's even more popular. And I'm white as a ghost just now. Thanks, exposure. We'll just labour on through this. Anyway, Boom Studios' Berserker became a bona fide hit before it was even properly released earlier this year. And readers have taken a liking to the Keanu Reeves-led creative team and explosive story. So, again, it's loads of people like the idea. It's the concept. Now it says this past spring it was announced that Netflix would be developing both live action and animated adaptations of the comic book series, but details have been relatively slim in the interim. Luckily, a new interview with Collider just shed light on the comic adaptation in a major way, with Reeves revealing that the Batman co-writer Mattson Tomlin, it almost sounds like it should be, Matlin Thompson or something like that. Mattson Tomlin. Interesting. Doesn't roll off the tongue, does it? Anyway, is working on the script for the live-action movie. And this is what Keanu Reeves had to say about it himself. He says, we're working with Netflix who have been very cool, Reeves explained. They're going to let us do an R-rated story, which is cool. My ambition or hope is not to do a filmed version of the comic book, so that they'll have things in common. Definitely the main character and his kind of rule set, but that we can take it to other places as well. We're talking to a couple of different animation companies and trying to figure that out. And again, for me, I'm hoping to be inspired and influenced. There are some rules to the story, but I also want other creators to do their version of it. Now, obviously, excuse the weird exposure that seems to be plaguing my video today. I'll get it under control, alright? Sorrows. But let's dive into a little bit more. R-rated. Cool. You don't do this story if it's not R-rated. Like, you just don't. Super, super stupid of anyone attempting to do this story without it being R-rated. I think one of the problems I have with this is when he starts to say, and this is positive. He says, my ambition or hope is not to do a filmed version of the comic book. One, that signifies that they actually don't have it locked in place yet. Right? It's not confirmed. They don't know what they're actually doing. It sounds like they're actually in discussions with Netflix for what Netflix want them to do. Which, as they're the distributor and probably co-financier, they will have quite a large say. So that's slightly concerning, because it would be good that they went into it with a clear mindset and they knew and had it decided already. It doesn't sound like they do, which is, it's a bit of a concern, but it's not a massive problem, because it doesn't really matter. If they do a filmed version of the comic and the comic is well loved, then it doesn't really matter, does it? Let's be honest. It would be a bit of a shame to see things retreaded, but they could obviously shoot it in different ways and it could become much better on the back end of it anyway. But then this part confused me and I don't really like it, and I know that will irritate a few people, but again, this is just being objective. I'm sure that there'll be some other things in there which are hugely positive as well. But he says, we're talking to a couple. He says, basically there's a rule set, but we can take it to other places as well. We're talking to a couple of different animation companies and trying to figure that out. And again, for me, I'm hoping to be inspired and influenced. There are some rules to the story, but I want other creators to do their version of it. That's what bugs people. That'd be like me coming in and going, right, I'm going to do my version of Spawn. Okay, what am I bound to? Now, he does say, and it is quite positive, he does say, look, there are some rules to the story. So hopefully, because the way Keanu Reeves speaks is very much just a normal bloke. So he's probably not articulated himself amazingly well here. But he says there are some rules to the story, but I want other people to come in and do their version of it, right? So I'm hoping to do a different version of a metaverse, where in the sense having different storytellers with one set of rules, but go to other places. Now I'm hoping what this actually is basically they're doing BRZRKR going through the years, you know, so they have their set rules to the universe in his story and who he is, but they can take him to any scenario, any place, and do anything with it within those confines. You know, tease a little bit of his backstory, tease a little bit of who he is, tease a little bit of how he could die. Those little things could be interesting. Someone else's version of that would be great. You know, this version of him in World War II or whatever. There's so many ways you could approach it. That's what I hope it is. That's what I hope it is. And that could be really cool. That could be really cool. But again, like when you start to get a bit too wishy-washy with it, and we don't know, this is just a little bit of kind of reading into it, because there's lots of issues with certain people and how they take properties nowadays. But I do have some confidence in Keanu Reeves. He's partnered with Boom Studios. Boom Studios are pretty on it. Boom Studios did all the Hellraiser comic book stuff, and they don't shy away from R-rated stuff. And if they're a part of the financier team working with Netflix, they will want it to be what was successful, which is their comic book. Like, they're not going to want it to be anything else. They're going to be like, no. You make it harsh. You make it bloody. You make it gory. So that's the strong positivity elements. Anyway. Now he continues further, it says, so I'm hoping to do different versions of a metaverse, where in the sense having different storytellers with one set of rules but go to other places. I'm super white again. We're working on trying to set up a company with the animation, and we've hired a writer for the film, Matson Tomlin. He's been cool and just starting to put things together. That's where we're at. So it's very, very early stages of development right now. I'm just going to auto-correct that goddamn exposure, but then it's going to darken again because that's apparently what's going on right now. I'm just going to get a beam of light in the middle of my forehead. Fucking great. Anyway, it doesn't sound bad, you know. It doesn't sound bad. It sounds interesting. I just really hope that they stick to what has made the comic book sell. That's all. It is positive. Here's an update. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. I'm going to scurry off and try and fix this stupid exposure. But let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care.